Yeah, that's sounding pretty nice. Right, let's have a go at the actual sound design itself. So we're going to initialize the preset. So I'm going to try and use the basic shapes and the basic wavetables, just in case you haven't got any of the funky stuff. I'm assuming you're on the basic free version. So we've got our oscillators here, 1, 2, and 3, plus a sampler track as well. So I'm just going to put the number of voices up, make this a bit more interesting. Let's just set the loop. Then we need to do a bit of detuning. The 20% detune is way too much. About 5% sounds about right. I like to keep the phase random. So if you didn't want to keep it random, you would take the random down to 0 and then choose your phase starting point here. But I'm going to keep mine random, just so each time the note is pressed, it starts it from a different position, therefore sounds slightly different. So that's using the standard sine wave, which is default. Let's thicken this sound out now with a different style of waveform. So we'll click on Init, we'll go to Factory, we'll keep it simple, and we'll go to Basic Shapes, and we can cycle through the different shapes and the various positions of the wavetable by using this button here, this frame. And you can also do that with a 3D view if you want. Actually see it cycling through the different waves. So let's just go with a sine wave. Again, we'll add some more voices just to make it more interesting. Okay, we're getting loud here. Turn it down here, and we can also turn it down here. The main volume as well. Again, it's always, I don't know why it's 20% detune amount is standard. It's always way too much, personally speaking. What we can also do is just slightly pan these off, left and right. So this is without Oscillator 2. It's just a bit thin and nasty, and this is with Oscillator 2. Just sounds quite nice. So again, let's thicken it out for the same reason as before, just adding different waveforms. Keep it simple again. We'll go with a square this time. Something like that. Let's add a couple of voices. Detune. Just reduce the volume of this one, it's just a bit overpowering. But again, adding a nice amount of thickness to the sound. We'll leave that one panned in the middle. So I think we'll have the second oscillator going to filter 1, which is down here. And maybe we'll try filter 2 for oscillator 3. So 1 and 2 going to filter 1. We'll come to filter 2 in a minute. But this should sound different now. So let's just turn down the resonance a little bit. And we'll leave this on analog low pass. Different types of filter in here, plenty, absolutely plenty. We'll be going on to some of these later on. We'll come to filter 2 in a second. Let's get the envelopes sorted out. So envelope 1 is the amplitude envelope. So how the sound progresses over time. You know, is it a slow attack? Is it a plucky sound? And with the release and the sustain, you can determine how long the note rings out for. So how short the note is, how long the note is. But the real magic will come in the envelope 2, which is the filter envelope, where we can modulate the filter cutoff here. That can be controlled by this envelope here. So I'll just show you what I mean by that. Let's add a really long filter, and when you hover over any parameter that can be modulated to something else or linked to something else, you get these crosshairs. Let's drag this over onto the cutoff position, not down here on drive, up here on the cutoff position. And let's watch this filter now. So we can start this off down here. And you can also make this a bit smoother if you wish, or sorry, more of a curve, I should say. Let's just set this down a little bit further. And the amount that you want this to affect, whatever it is you've linked it to, is here. This little sort of moon or half moon. You can change the amount. And you can see it changing up here and this half moon down here. This is the amount of the effect that you want. So to really hear this in action, let's turn off Oscillator 3, because that one is actually going to filter 2. Depends how quickly you want that to open. Just do some balancing acts here, do some adjustments. Get this maybe a bit quicker. Yeah, it's sounding quite nice. But we've got more tricks than that to play with. To get that kind of pumping effect or that sidechain effect, we're going to take LFO1 to the main volume, which is here. So we need to change the shape of this, but I'm just going to show you what it's like. So you can do that easily here. You can also choose different shapes here. There's tons. Let's just go to factory again. Shapes of the LFO, of course. You've even got one called sidechain, which you can just copy if you want. So let's do that. We need to just modify this a little bit. We also need to change the trigger mode to quarter notes. So click and drag. So you can see we're getting there now. So you want something like that, perhaps, depending on how severe you want it, of course. So why would you do this? Well, first of all, it sounds nice. It sounds quite modern, but also this is going to allow the kick to come through as well. Now we'll be sidechaining the bass and all that kind of jazz. In fact, most things in this track are going to be dipped or sidechained to let the kick through. Super, super important to let that kick come through and be really punchy. So let's turn on filter 2 and oscillator 3, which is going to filter 2, as you can see here. Let's choose maybe, let's say, a dirty type of filter. So we're getting a bit loud up here now. Let's just turn this down, actually. Let's just turn this sidechain down, maybe. Yeah, that's better. But let's go on to LFO2 now and put this over to the filter 2 cutoff. Let's just make this a bit different. But that's way too fast, so let's change that. We're going to put this on sync mode, so it's syncing to the tempo rather than resetting every time a note plays. And we want this to be much, much longer. So if you choose like 1-1 or 2-1, that means 1 bar or 2 bar. So let's try it over 2 bars. That's still too fast, so let's try this over 4 bars. This is moving the cutoff here over 4 bars. That's what we're doing here. And let's just turn down the amount as well here. And I think we'll just turn down the amount of the sidechain as well, just a little bit. So I think we just need a bit more amount on that. So just to recap, we've got envelope 2 going to filter 1, cutoff, and that is going quite slowly. That's opening up as each note is played, but that's only for oscillator 1 and 2. Oscillator 3, the square wave, is being sent to filter 2, and that is being modulated slowly over 4 bars just to give it that movement over time. Makes this sound modulate over time, and it's just so much more interesting. Of course, the starting position could be down here if you wanted it to be. And we haven't even got to the effects yet, so let's go and put some effects on. I went with a phaser, so let's switch on the phaser. And I pretty much kept it as it is, but I turned down the mix, so I'll leave the mix up for now so you can see like really what it's doing. So this is without. So I just put a tiny bit of phasing on. Again, we're adding interest, we're adding modulation, we're adding just a bit of ear candy really. But that's too much for me. Just want a little bit of phasing. Sounds really nice. Nice mellow pad with a lot of movement. So you can hear with the pumping effect, the kick is coming through nicely. And it just sounds nice as well. Okay, we'll carry on in the next couple of lessons, making more sounds in Vital, like the lead and the bass. So I'll see you then, guys. All the best. Bye-bye.